Welcome back to the Physique Podcast, my people. And again, I'm joined by an incredibly successful man and great guest for the second time, probably in as many weeks. Welcome back to the podcast, Joe.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, we've already had you on. Talk about your personal journey, talk about Dubai, talk about your bodybuilding. Now we're going to talk about how you built the Coach Creator, which you are the founder of.
Yes. So, where do I begin?
Where do we begin?
Do you know what? I was completely delusional making this product. So let me give you a little bit of a backstory. So, I've always, probably for the past maybe year, 2 years, had the potential of being a mentor. And I don't say that from a self-righteous standpoint. It's just I've had a lot of clients who I coach, who are PTs, online coaches, who have said, "Oh, Joe, would you coach me?"
Yeah.
And I was like, to be honest, I've had many mentors, but I don't want to mentor. Point blank, I don't want to do it. I don't want to take away from the service. I'm very busy with my fitness business. I don't want to dilute what I currently do. And then it was probably like September last year, after I went through like my whole personal shift and developed myself on a mental level. And I was like, not that I feel like I'm made for more, but I almost feel like I've got more to give than I'm currently giving the industry. And I want to make a bigger impact. And that's what I said to myself. And I was like, how can I do this? I can make a course that educates coaches to become the best coaches they can possibly be. Not teach people to sell and market and become salesmen and glorified, 10K month specialists. Like, I want to create genuinely the coaches that I believe the industry needs. People who not just understand training, nutrition, marketing, sales, but understand everything that comes to client psychology, managing people, understanding different client mindsets, what motivates people, what holds people back. I want to create it all. I want to basically tie in together the training, nutrition I've learned from bodybuilding along with my business expertise and put it into one complete course that basically integrates everything. And a huge passion of mine is artificial intelligence. So every module is based with the action items. I give AI prompts as a 70 plus page AI prompt guide so people can build the course in real time. And that's what it become. And obviously I thought, this will take a couple of weeks to do, and it took me 6 months, 700 pages of teleprompt script writing. I've partnered with 7 brand partners. I've got app developers on board, logo specialists, landing page designers that all the students get discounts with. So yeah, it started off as like, I'm going to make a course, put a few presentations together, take a few weeks to do. And here we are, 7 months later. It took 6 months to build the thing. But no, I'm genuinely very proud of what I built. Genuinely very proud. And even from the initial intake of people going through it, the response has been, amazing. The results have been incredible as well. The feedback I'm getting, not just from new coaches either, like people who are already established, like some IFBB pros have bought the course and actually seen really good results. So to me, that aligns with my values more than anything. This was never just for me to make quick money and just sell something. Something I want to put my name against. I know whoever goes through this course will genuinely be a coach that the industry needs.
It's about adding different perspective.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people look at it, especially a lot of online coaches at the moment, they look at it from a marketing first point of view. It's changing that narrative.
Yeah.
I mean, you're on the same wavelength of that, and we spoke about it before we went live with the podcast. It's trying to rewire everybody's brain to go, hello, there's another way that you can look at building an online coaching business that is just as successful, if not more successful, than just focusing on marketing, managing tactics that are just regurgitating the same spiel over and over and over again.
100%. And I think there's a level of fulfillment that goes with that, as a level of authenticity. It depends, obviously, what you're after. I think if we could teach someone just to sell and market, I could get them more quick wins. I could get them to, the first few K faster, the first few clients. But in terms of building sustainable business with a consistent LTV of clients, not having to spend stupid amounts of money on ads and different people, just building a business based off brand, off referrals, because you are good at what you do. You care about your service. You care about the delivery. And that's what I've always been so passionate about. Recently, I've probably had to spend a little bit of money on ads because I've got to the point I have. The first 3-4 years of coaching, I built a very successful business off zero marketing, just posting on socials and referrals.
I haven't spent any money on ads.
Yeah.
So I'm yet to reach that point of saturation.
Yeah.
Again, it comes down to content creation, but it's about impact, right?
Yeah.
A lot of coaches don't know the difference between having 2 months of impact and 20 years of impact. And the only way that you're going to ever have 20 years of impact as a coach is by doing it the right way.
Yeah, and having someone for a long period of time where you genuinely change the habits. Coach someone for 8 weeks for a transformation, they're not changing the habits.
No.
Change the physique, you're not changing the habits.
You can change the physique and then they just revert back to type as soon as they've stopped with that accountability.
Yeah.
And it's about making your clients aware that it's all these micro decisions that need to be taken on a daily basis. And that is more than just getting given a program. It's about understanding why you're making these decisions, what these decisions lead to when they are done over and over and over again. And
100%.
Bringing that delayed gratification into play.
And like for me, education is the heart of every success story when it comes to a client transformation.
100%.
Because when you educate someone, they automatically understand and they assign meaning to what you are telling them to do. They go, that's why it's important. It's a penny drop moment. And when anyone assigns a meaning to something they do, what then happens? They carry out the task that they're doing to a higher standard because they've understood that this is important, so I'm going to do it properly. And what happens when you carry something out to a higher level of standard and a higher degree of accuracy? You get a better result, and it's a positive leap back. So like people say, why should I educate? I'll just give someone a plan and drop the calories and up the cardio and do whatever. I don't need to tell them what to do. I don't need to send them a 5-minute voice note. The diet plan, they'll probably get the same result off a diet plan and a training plan. In the short-term basis, they're looking at it through a microscope. They're not looking at the bigger picture of like, I genuinely want to impact this person. And I think we're both very aligned on that in terms of what we want to provide. It's long-term impact. It's genuinely someone being with you for a couple of years, and you'll probably agree with me on this. There's nothing more fulfilling than like people who leave me after 2-3 years, and they turn around and like really good terms. Like, I genuinely thank you so much. Like, I've been through diet phases, a gaining phase, another diet phase, another gaining phase, whatever it may be. And like, I see things completely differently now. I understand my body. Like, it's given me more value, more experience than I ever would have imagined. That's like infinitely valuable for me. Like, that's the real
goosebumps kind of stuff, bro.
Yeah. Because you've had some impact that will genuinely last a lifetime, and that sounds cliche, but it will.
But whenever these people that we're talking about, whenever they're at a dinner table or wherever they're on their armchair in the dining room or living room, they're going to be talking about the education that you provided or I've provided. Yeah. That's the level of impact, rather than just a transformation side by side.
And just think of the ripple effect, and like this was the whole purpose behind me building what I had. Because I know I can create that impact on a one-on-one basis with people, but that impact is somewhat limited. You can only work with so many people. Like, we only have so many hours in a day.
24 hours in a day.
Whereas if I can impact many hundreds of coaches on an individual basis, who then coach multiple clients that are then attached to them, the ripple effect in the industry that then presents is huge.
Then your information, your knowledge is going far deeper than just that one-to-one impact.
Yeah, there's genuinely no end. There's a cascade effect there that happens. There's a domino effect, and it will never stop. So, yeah, that's where the real kind of why, if you want to call it that, why did I make it? That was the why behind the coach career.
So tell me, in your opinion, what's the biggest problem within the online coaching space right now?
I think if you look at it from a very high level, certainly from the UK standpoint, there's no legislation, there's no accreditations that anyone can be. The barrier to entry is instant. And I know from first-hand experience, from people coming to me from other coaches, other mentors, whatever it may be, I look at the plans, and especially when it comes to PD users, competitive clients and things like that, and I'm like, what has someone been doing with it? Like it makes no physical sense. And, I know a lot of people on a personal level who have made an incredibly big brand based off marketing and sales, but their actual ability to coach is just not there. And that, for me, is like the biggest problem. And I think one of the biggest problems that kind of layers under that is people get into the industry and they might have got a PT qualification, or they might have become a coach, gone through their own transformation, become a coach, got a mentor that teaches them business, and they've never taken the time to actually educate themselves on understanding training, nutrition, client psychology, the physical coaching, the client delivery, the most important part of coaching, not the front end, not the business, the actual delivery. They've never taken the time to educate themselves on that. And that, to me, is a huge problem. Like, if you have been coaching years and you never invest in yourself to actually educate yourself to a higher level, like what are you doing? That's a huge problem.
Yeah, it's
huge problem. So I think that, for me, is the biggest thing. However, I will caveat that and say there isn't a direct path that people go down. Like, when you get your PT qual,
What do you do? What do you do from
that certifies you. There's no like clear route of like this is the education system you go down. This is what you do after that. Like there's no path. So it is a little bit diluted where it kind of is like just learn from experience. You know, and experience will teach you a lot if you're conscientious enough to actually look at the data and see what works and what doesn't. But at the same time, there needs to be a level of education there where you understand things to a deeper level.
Do you know what comes to mind when I think what you just said is journaling, having a guided journal versus just having a blank piece of paper? Is that, yes, if you think long and hard enough, you will start being able to journal your thoughts. However, having that guide, having that direction of going, what are you grateful for today? How are you going to make today good?
Yeah.
What's your positive affirmation? Just them simple guides and that simple direction brings out more in you as an individual. And that's exactly what our courses do, is we give that guide, we give that direction. The rest is up to you.
100%, mate. 100%. It's like a check-in form, isn't it? Like you could check in with yourself weekly and look at your weight and your visuals. You're not looking at every other bit of data. Like data is king. You know, like looking at it and iterating and actually reviewing. You know, that's the real process.
What's the worst bit of advice that you've ever heard a coach give?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think you feel like you have to come back to me because I'm gonna have a good one on this.
We can edit this out.
in terms of, give me an example of like.
Do you know what? Okay, worst piece of advice that puts somebody's health at risk. Let's put it that way.
Someone's health at risk,
or a misinformed piece of advice that you would look at that and go, I would never advise anyone to do that. Because there's a lot of bullshit. But if we're talking about narrowing it down, is there anything that you've heard in the gym, at a show, where you listening to it go, what the fuck is that advice? That is dangerously criminal.
Do you know what? I'm gonna go something very topical here and like create a little bit of heat.
Good, let's go.
Do you know Ricardo? You will have seen my my shout out to.
This is where we're going with this,
yeah. No, and because it's at the top of my mind. Like I could list off a load of things, but this is at the top of my mind. Again, someone who speaks out. So let me tell the story because it's going to put context because people won't know what I'm on about. So my ex-partner Liv was a very successful bikini competitor. She competed in the Arnold Classic, won the Arnold Classic, amateur, but very, very good in the junior category, and never struggled getting in shape. She's one of the most disciplined, consistent. She's like the mirror image of what I was in terms of discipline and consistency. And post-show, she had a very, very hard time. Really, really difficult time. Her body weight just wouldn't stop going up no matter what she did. And she went to several different coaches. She was with Meg Sylvester. She was with Josh McHale. She went to American coaches. She then went to holistic health coaches. No one could figure out what on earth was going on. She would try to diet, try to do everything, try to put in a slight maintenance, try to put in a small deficit, a big deficit. She then went all the way to like 1,200 calories, an hour of cardio a day, using all the sups, like doing everything she could. Body weight was still going up. So to some people, like that sounds like nonsense. Sounds like that shouldn't happen. It defies science. It defines the narrative of its calories in, calories out, thermodynamics, blah blah blah. It completely disregards obviously all female hormonal health. So Liv basically got sorted. Fortunately enough, there was a coach called obviously Mads, Mads from Raw Coaching, Mads and Corey, who put her in touch with Dr. Dean. And Dr. Dean is a wizard on this type of stuff, really understands the female sort of endocrinology and identified that it was a form of PCOS. And this is where I think PCOS is a very umbrella term. It's in the general population of high testosterone PCOS type in females, and then there's the PCOS that is maybe a little bit under the radar, different forms. I like to say, I know this is completely different, like cancer. Cancer is not a one term. There's hundreds of different forms. PCOS, I believe, is very similar. There's multiple ways. She found a way to do it. It was all basically revolving around insulin resistance, insulin sensitivity, and she had to do a whole series of things to basically make her more insulin sensitive, bring her body back within range. But this went on for 2 years. 2 years we couldn't do a thing for her, and this really got to her. Like imagine you run a coaching brand. Your whole business identity is how you look. She gained 25 kilos as a female, like would cry every time she stepped foot in the gym, couldn't wear an outfit. Her confidence was just a shell of her former self. Like she was absolutely on the floor. Never seen anything like it. Like it put huge stress on our relationship, but more than that, it was way beyond that. It was just, she got to a point where she had to go to counselling, to therapy. Like she was in a real bad way. Okay, so this is
this is essentially PCOS for the simplistic. I don't want to oversimplify it. However, we're talking about hormones affecting fat loss.
Yeah.
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 And hormones being the inhibitor to fat loss being efficient.
Yeah, and
regardless of the calories in, calories out.
Yeah, mainly insulin resistance.
Okay.
Whereby your body's blood sugar levels are always elevated, so your body cannot really take on glucose, and also it can't really oxidate body fat because it's going to continue to oxidate.
So we're talking about the nutritional partitioning.
Nutritional partitioning, the ability to oxidate body fat, because your body's always got a source of glucose floating around, so it's always going to use that as its primary energy.
We're then digging into substrate utilization, and that always being in favour of carbohydrates rather than fat.
Yeah, and a probably huge, I mean, I don't know if you can test mitochondrial function, but a huge downregulation of mitochondrial function.
Interesting.
So yeah, basically her body was just like...
every time her body wanted to use
her maintenance
energy,
calories was probably like 700 calories.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
so just for everybody listening, so like her body essentially never wanted to use body fat as a fuel source to bridge the gap that the deficit is creating.
Yeah, it physically couldn't, because there was always glucose present.
Yes. So the glucose being present all the time led the body to believe that carbohydrate was the primary source of fuel and energy.
And if you think of that on another science level, like that, what that leads to is obviously the pancreas overproducing insulin. You're constantly in a high insulinogenic environment.
It's a cycle.
And then it's a cycle. Yeah. Obviously, because your blood sugar stays elevated and the insulin doesn't do its job, you become more insulin resistant. The pancreas then pumps out more insulin. So, you know, she actually used a small basal level of Lantus to actually take the stress off her pancreas because it got that bad over a period of time.
Does that not borderline diabetes? It's very close to that.
Yeah, it was genuinely close to that, and that's what severe long-term undiagnosed PCOS can probably resort to. So like metformin usage, berberine, HIIT cardio, like these types of procedures to try and get her back into a good range. But anyway, that's context.
Yep.
Where do we go to the question? The worst advice.
You've given.
So a couple of weeks ago, she got a shout out on Instagram because her brand since that point has become about helping others, because she's so passionate now about helping other people combat what she's going through, because it's becoming a more reoccurring problem when it comes to female hormonal health. You could argue whatever that reasons is. Is it environmental factors? Is it the way that we now diet? Is it modern society? Is it food sources?
Ultra-processed foods.
Oh, God. Like, we could go down the rabbit hole.
Day.
But it's becoming more and more prevalent. Put it that way. More people are becoming impacted by it. And, like, statistically, I don't know the percentages, but there's a higher percentage of people who are impacted by it. So she puts out a lot of content online to help people with that type of thing and documents her journey. So she got a shout out from a guy called Ricardo, who's a male bodybuilder, no experience within female hormonal health, to my knowledge. Maybe he has, I don't know. Basically screen recording a video of her, of like putting a makeup on, talking about PCOS story, and then like basically saying she's an absolute liar, she's not in a deficit, she doesn't know what she's on about, she just can't hide that she's binge eating all the time.
Strong stuff.
I commented on the post, like, just for like clarity here, bearing in mind me and Liv have not been together 15 months, so I don't need to stick up with my ex-girlfriends, do you know what I mean? Like,
that's a very good point.
But I went through I went through this with her, and I seen the suffering that she had to go through. Mm-hmm. So I commented and I said, look, like, well, I wasn't an arse. I was like, she was on 1,200 calories doing an hour of cardio. Like, we did everything. She went to 4 different very high-level coaches in the industry. Like, you know, Josh McHale is a very good female coach. Meg Sylvester, very, very good coach. Like, good American, Australian coaches too. You know,
no one
tried everything. No one had a solution. No one could do anything.
So it's very impossible. It's almost impossible to apply such a simplistic term to that.
So he
situation.
Was like, "You're not in a deficit," and then he started putting PubMed studies on, and like doctors, videos of doctors from TikTok saying, "I believe that PCOS actually upregulates metabolism. You can still lose body fat using PCOS, like as long as you're in a calorie deficit." Blah blah blah, like uploading all this stuff, and I was like, right, okay. Going back to the stuff that we've spoken about previously, again, what is the biggest issue here? What is the single biggest issue? Well, this general population PCOS PubMed studies and this general doctor's diagnosis of people with PCOS can still lose weight, blah, blah, blah. Is this taken from an athlete who has got down to ridiculous levels of body fat, lost a female cycle in a competition prep, been ridiculously lean that she can't even pinch her skin, like had glute striations, quad striations, like, is this data set
There's
based on...
There's no one that exists that can be tested on to...
No, there's not a big enough data set to actually find out if this is logical. So, like, when I come back to it, I'm like, that is the worst possible advice you can promote, and obviously he has a very big following, and this is hugely, not to confidence, because he's got like 70,000 followers. These posts are getting thousands, like 100k views, hundreds of comments of just people slating her. Like, just slating her, saying she doesn't know anything. And then he started doing it on Mads as well, obviously Liv's coach.
God, he's got it out for everyone.
So, and I'm just
is this like a general tactic that is used by him, or?
Yeah, it's just a shout out thing.
Okay.
But again, like, I don't think he understands the level of harm that it can actually give someone. He doesn't know the story of like how much people have been through, and the impact that his words and the weight that his words can actually have on someone's confidence.
So you're saying the simplistic term of calories in versus calories out, you're not in a calorie deficit, is the worst advice.
To answer your question,
it's simple though, isn't it?
The worst advice I can give if you are looking for body composition transformation, this is a very extreme case. Like, in 75% of cases, probably calories in, calories out for a Gen Pop person will work. But giving that as a carte blanche term, especially in a bodybuilding setting from someone who isn't a general population client, is the worst piece of advice.
Do you know what? I actually understand where you're coming from there, because I look at cortisol. I'm not going to say cortisol is anything like PCOS. However, cortisol is a very toxic byproduct made within the human body that can block literally anything, right? Now, if PCOS has even any similarity to the effect that cortisol can have, which by the sounds of it does, I say to my clients, the problem isn't the deficit that you're in. The problem is the cortisol that is in your body stopping everything from happening. It's like when alcohol is present in your body. It stops fat oxidizing. It stops all these systems carrying out their jobs. Sounds like PCOS does the same.
100%. And when it comes to cortisol, like, think of it internally. So think of this, like, because the cortisol will play a role as well. When your body is obviously in this state where it can't uptake nutrients, then obviously the pancreas is overproducing. It's going to create a systemic level of stress internally. Maybe it's not a psychological level of stress. It will start as a systemic level of internal stress. This then obviously presents that, oh shit, I can't lose weight. I'm getting heavier. I'm getting heavier. What does that then present as? That presents as mental stress. So all of a sudden you've then got a combination of both physical and mental stress factors all combined and accumulated and wrapped up into one. So yeah, like, it probably leads into, like, it's probably a double whammy. Like, the PCOS is going to cause internal cortisol, and then
it's a cocktail of shitness.
Yeah, and then obviously there's a level of adrenaline that then comes with that, and obviously adrenaline converts glycogen into glucose and dumps more blood back into the bloodstream, and it's just like an accumulation. Until that one root cause is fixed, you can't just drop your calories, because your body's in absolute turmoil. It's in a completely sympathetic environment where it doesn't care about dropping body fat. It cares about surviving.
And our body is a survivalist capture at the end of the day. I think oversimplifying something like that is not always the best answer. So that's a good... If you are listening and you're a coach and you have some struggles with your clients, think a little bit deeper than just calories in versus calories out. So that brings me... Let's circle back to the coach creator. So describe the exact moment that you thought, right, I need to create the coach creator. What triggered it?
I was sat on the beach with my family. My family came over to Dubai, and I went over to the hotel, and I woke up from a nap, and I was just reading The Power of Now. And I opened my eyes, and I thought, I'm going to fucking do it. And I went out to dinner that night, and I was researching how to create courses in terms of, like, Kajabi and integration and all that.
What do you use?
Kajabi.
You use Kajabi? Okay.
Yeah.
I use Circle.
Right.
You heard of Circle?
Yeah. So I use Kajabi, and I come across an American course creator. Basically produced a course called the 30-day course creator. It's about $600, and it was a phenomenal course. I'll give it to the guy who made it. Have you ever heard of 14-day filmmaker?
No.
It's a filmmaking product, how you make films from your iPhone. It sold millions of copies. Like, they became
it's a PDF, is it?
Became multi-millionaires. It's a Kajabi.
Kajabi, okay.
Like, sort of, and it's like $50.
Yeah.
But they're upgraded one, because I bought that to learn how to just record off an iPhone. And then I thought, well, they really know the stuff, and this course was like $500. And I thought, right, I'm going to give myself that accountability of, I've bought something. Inherently, as humans, we're tight. If I spend money on something, I'm going to fucking do it. And that was like my accountability to do it. Opened up that, and it was like 100 lessons of how to build a course. Like, it taught you through everything. Like, I mean, everything. And I was like, wow. Like, I did not know there was this much involved. I mean, there's a level of naivety, I think, when you enter any new industry.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, yeah, I can just knock a course together.
I learned so many lessons just by making it. I was
Yeah,
like,
the skill set I have learned, like, I am forever grateful. And even I think one of the biggest things is, like, doing 25 hours of in a studio, talking to a camera.
It's a different level.
My ability to now articulate on camera has come on so much in terms of how I can speak, because that was one of the biggest things. Like, I mean, I've always been relatively good, but it's definitely come on. Just being able to speak on camera, because volume negates look. The more you do something, the better you're going to be. So yeah, there's a huge naivety. But that was the single point in time. Just sat there on a beach.
What gap in the mentoring market are you obsessed with filling with the coach career?
So obviously, as I've already spoke about, the education space, in educating coaches to become better coaches, but also a huge passion of mine, and if you've listened to the previous episode, is to do with the mindset side of things, because I want to help coaches become fulfilled of what they do. And I speak from experience, because I've, got to my first 5k month and 10k month and, et cetera, beyond over the years. And I've constantly felt like I am always chasing the next thing. I'm always constantly wanting more. And I think there's a level of, like, entrepreneurship where you have to be very grounded, very self-aware, very control of your emotions. And I want to help coaches feel fulfilled while they build the business. Because, if you were to look back and said in 2020, I'll be where I am, or you will be where you are right now, you would be like, oh my God, I couldn't imagine to be anywhere better. Like, I'm absolutely living the dream. I'm so grateful. And we sit here now. I mean, I'm grateful now, but rewind 12 months, I wanted more. I wasn't fulfilled. I felt like a con man. I always wanted more. And I would love to be able to help people feel not just to build a great business based off real core values, but feel fulfilled in terms of what they do, and be operating from a place of, a good mindset. And, we spoke about this quite a lot before this, that a lot of people focus purely on strategy, and there's only so much strategy you can implement into a coaching business. The remaining of that comes from operating from a place of self-worth and confidence and alignment to values, and that's what I want to help coaches find. Like, why do you do what you do? What is your passion? What are your values? How can I help you unlock those and understand them? And how can I build a business around that? Because ultimately that's going to help build the level of fulfillment of what you want to create. And I want to not just create people businesses that earn them income. I want them to create something that they feel proud of and they feel fulfilled by.
100%. Does the journey that you bring with the coach career reflect that? So, for instance, I'll give you an example. My first 2 modules within the Coach University are about bringing that self-awareness aspect to the forefront of going, right, this is what you now need to think about. This is now how you need to think. This is now what you need to think and why you need to think it. Do you touch upon that as well? Yeah.
So the first module is mindset. Is specifically about overcoming limiting beliefs, specific to coaching. So, like, when it comes to the sales process, like, how do you overcome selling on a call? Where you reframe it, you're not selling on a call. If you are
a solution.
If you are convinced you can help that person, you're not trying to sell them something. You're helping them make a decision that's going to better their life. Okay, you reframe that and you think like that. Okay, that's really easy to sell because you know you can help them. Like, when it comes to marketing, you're not marketing yourself. You are showcasing value and you're giving value through your content. Like, everything I reinforce, and people probably who have been through the coach career, I think I'm a stuck record, but I will drive it home. Everything I do in every single module is based around giving value. And people will come to you by giving value. 100%. Give as much value as you possibly can in every way. And
can't lose.
Yeah, you can't lose from a business standpoint, but secondly, like, you will never feel non-aligned to what you're trying to achieve from what you were doing. And that's the real important thing for me.
Break down the first 6 months of the coach career. How did you build it? Who did you use?
Myself. Do you know what? Like, it proved to me how hard I can work when I put my mind to something. Like, when I say this, like, obviously managing the client base I've got. And when I say, I don't say this for the camera, like I did not let my service standard drop. And I've even had clients say to me, like, you still provided the same level of service. I had to fit this in. I script wrote 700 pages. I had to coordinate sending presentation designers to people on Fiverr, had to organise a studio, had to organise a marketing team, an agency. I had to have assistance with like the script writing procedures, the design elements. Like I think there was like 8 businesses in the end that like combined together to create this course. So like from that perspective, it was so much more than I ever possibly envisaged. So yeah, it was just me day in, day out. Like, I know I say this, but like it didn't go out for 6 months. Like Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, I was probably operating on 5 hours sleep for the best part of 6 months. It was pure volume of work. I generally worked harder than I ever have, but I never felt like I was burning out because I felt so aligned to what I was doing, because I was so aligned to obviously the direction, the position that I was in. I didn't feel burnt out. I think that's a really good take-home point, because I think if you are working really hard on something that you don't feel like really fueled by and like you're passionate about, you can often lead to burnout. But 100%. When you're doing something that you really feel aligned to, you never feel burnt out.
So you preach about setting a new standard. What one skill must coaches master in 2025 in order to stand out?
From a marketing standpoint, it has to be personal brand, because everyone wants to be the best marketer now. And because of the things like AI, information is actually very accessible for coaches. Like, people can go onto ChatGPT and get some very, very good information. Information is not going to be the key. It's accountability, so keeping people accountable, understanding client psychology. So that's like the delivery system of understanding human emotions and human psychology. That's how you keep people for a long term. And then we look at it from a business standpoint, is how to build a personal brand, how to get people bought into you. Because there's so many people who can do the same thing, and I'll openly say that, but people need to buy into you. You need to be aligned by you, so they trust in what you say.
100%. People buy people, and that is a fantastic way to end the latest Physique Podcast episode. I just want to thank you for coming
traveling
on
all the way from
traveling
Dubai.
all the way from the Dubai just to the Physique Podcast.
I didn't travel from Dubai, but yeah, it's been a pleasure, mate. It's been
amazing.
Really
thank you very much for taking your time to come on, and as always, I'll put the link in the description down below of where you can reach Joe. Just remind them one more time. Yeah,
so there's Built Different by Joe Cross on YouTube, and then the Coach by Cross _ on Instagram.
Amazing. Thank you very much, bro.
Thank you so much, sir.